With our hero seemingly holding the upper hand against the duo of Goku Black and Zamasu, Vegeta manages to beat Goku Black down into the earth simultaneously as Goku holds Zamasu back in their efforts of saving the future, but as quick as the tides have turned, something much more destructive is on the horizon. What's going on, Dragon Ball Super fans? Welcome to my Dragon Ball Super Episode 64 review, entitled Revere Him, Praise Him, Fusion Zamasu, Explosive Birth, leading into next week's exciting episode of Dragon Ball Super Episode 65, and what will be, ultimately enough, the final judgment of Zamasu's merger between himself and Goku Black. Now keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this video will contain massive amounts of spoilers, so in case you guys don't want anything ruined for you, simply fast forward the video, go on ahead and watch the episode, come back so we can talk more Dragon Ball Super down in the comment section below, everybody. And of course, alongside that, a quick little plug in case you guys want to keep up with Dragon Ball content, make sure to follow me at Twitter at UnrealEntGaming so we can go on ahead and talk more Dragon Ball on there as well. Now, Dragon Ball Super Episode 64, in my opinion, was very well built, especially leading into this merger. I mean, all of us have already anticipated this for weeks now, especially after hearing about it. And now, for the first time ever, we finally have our first inside look as to how the ultimate merger between Zamasu and Goku Black looks like. And of course, they look pretty badass. So make sure you guys tune in for the breakdown review and the prediction video alongside the live stream tonight so we can all interact live right after the episode. So we start the episode off right where we left off with Vegeta and Goku Black, and of course Goku and Zamasu. And right from the start, we see Vegeta and Goku Black colliding one-on-one, and early in the beginning we see how Black is smiling until Vegeta begins to put him through buildings. We see how Vegeta is beginning to really get the upper hand on Goku Black here, and throughout it all we see how Goku Black is laughing, and he's also saying to himself that he keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger throughout the entire duration of Vegeta unleashing this beating upon him. And then as we see Vegeta up in the sky, and he unleashes a devastating attack, in which case, manages to bring down the entire buildings around Goku Black. And we see how Goku tells Zamasu, you're fighting me, and Zamasu said, I thought I told you not to order gods around and stuff. So we see how Zamasu is pretty much telling Goku, don't tell me what to do. And we see how, after the giant explosion in the city, how Goku Black reemerges, and he's damaged, but he doesn't seem to be that damaged, and that's when we begin to see them speak to each other. So we see Goku Black talking to Vegeta, and he begins to tell him that despite what he does, I know that you've grown strong. It's anger over Trunks getting injured, and Black finds the idea of using anger to get stronger very disgusting, as he tells Vegeta, like your lack of, trust in yourself, and using anger as a fuel source to, combat me is just very pathetic in and of itself. And then we see how Black is just more of a pain kind of guy. He relies more on pain than rage, but he also uses anger to go up against Vegeta as he decides to pull this Grim Reaper-like scythe out of his hand. It was crazy looking the way he did it, but we see how Goku Black pretty much unleashed this, giant, scythe-looking thing, and then obviously enough, even after that, he tried to attempt to slash Vegeta, but instead, he created this giant rift. And now, again, this reminded me a lot of Xenoverse 2 with the time rifts and whatnot, but we see Vegeta ask Black, what is that? And Black says, I don't know, maybe another universe or the distant past or future. And Vegeta thinks that, Black missed him, but in reality, Black actually, made light of creating this hole in the sky on purpose. And we see how, the hole in the sky is actually very, very pleasing to Zamasu. And Goku says to Zamasu, you're too confident in your immortality, so you leave yourself open to attack. And we see like Zamasu doesn't really pay attention to Goku. He's like, whatever, I mean, so as long as I'm immortal, everything should be fine. And we see how they begin to fight, and obviously enough, Goku does have the upper hand, but Goku can't damage him. Like, despite what Goku does, Goku could easily throw him through buildings and just blast him over and over again. It's not going to do any sort of physical harm to him because of his immortality. But we also see how the fight is so intense that we see Mai, she's on the rooftop and she's hanging by like a wire, and because of the fact that Zamasu and Goku went through the building, and we see how the entire city, through Mai's perspective, is just completely obliterated because of the fact that Zamasu and Goku are colliding. And then we see Zamasu in pursuit of Mai right before we cut off to the commercials, and we see Trunks with the Mafuba jar, and we have an indication that the Mafuba jar is now fixed. So obviously enough, judging based on the spoilers that we've gotten before and the interviews, the Mafuba is going to play a very vital role in pretty much the end of this arc per se. And we see how Trunks asks Mai to check and see how the fight's going, and then she checks and she sees Zamasu like just rushing right towards her. So it was very scary regardless. But the fact that Black referred to to Vegeta as getting stronger by anger is kind of hypocritical because Black grows on pain, so he also in an essence gets fueled by the same exact anger. But then as we come back from commercial, we get to see that everyone is in the hangar. We see Bulma suggest to Trunks that the Mafuba needs to be focused more or less on Zamasu. So we also get to go back and we also see that as Vegeta is staring down Black, he's not just staring down one version of Black. There are many different versions of Goku Black, and they're all wielding, you know, like this scythe-looking weapon, and it's pretty intense because, you know, I don't know if anyone else noticed as well, but his hair has gotten a lot more purple-ish in a way. So we see how there are multiple Goku Blacks surrounding both Goku and Vegeta, and that's when they begin to start panicking. Obviously enough, the original Goku Black is in the middle, but then surrounding him are a bunch of other like clones in a way, and they all begin to rush Goku and Vegeta, and that's when Vegeta and Goku are battling them, and they seem to be like just mere poof balls, like just sort of like dust in a way, like just smoke and mirrors in an essence. But when they attack, they pack a massive punch because the rift that was created by Goku Black seems to have had an effect on these clones, and we see how they keep pouring out of this rift and this hole, and it seems like Goku and Vegeta have no other choice but to try to target the original, but it's incredibly hard to target the original when you have a bunch of clones working for you, and we're talking like just metal cooler type stuff, like there was just a bunch of them all around the area. But either way, despite what they did, we saw how it had little to no effect, and we also see how, you know, Black was talking to both of them saying Zamasu has probably killed Trunks and the others by now, so you can't really do anything about it because you're targeted and you're being surrounded right now. So Black keeps bragging about his divine techniques, and he begins to taunt Goku and Vegeta, saying that they won't be able to win, especially the fact that there are multiple Goku Blacks around the area now just as strong as him. So he keeps talking about like this divine power that only he himself has. And we also see how Trunks, we pan over back to Trunks, and Trunks looks like he wants to use the Mafuba, but he doesn't really know how to use the Mafuba in essence. But Vegeta suggests for Goku to teleport over to Trunks, but the time-space rift hole that was in the sky is messing with Goku's senses. So with that giant hole in the sky, it causes Goku to pretty much lose focus in using instant transmission, which gives Goku Black and Zamasu the advantage here. But either way, finally we pan on over to Piccolo, and we see how Piccolo is over by Capsule Corp, and also what I think he's trying to do here is I think he was trying to use the Mafuba as well in an essence, because he was trying to pretty much negate and throw some of his energy in there as well. So I mean, I really wish that Piccolo was utilized more, because we see how Bulma had like somewhat of like an iPhone or whatever, or an Android in her hand, and she's showing off, you know, Piccolo's stuff, whatever. So we see how that's transitioning, but also, you know, Vegeta and Goku can't really do nothing because as much as they try to escape the ring of Goku Blacks around them, they're getting surrounded and they're ultimately getting beat up, so they can't really go nowhere, as Zamasu is pursuing and making his way towards the bunker where Trunks, Mai, and Bulma are. And also another thing that I have to say is the fact that the music in this was very well executed, I would have to say from beginning to end. And we see how Bulma, you know, has a recording on her phone about Piccolo demonstrating the Mafuba and whatnot, sort of like a GodTube thing going on. But we also see how Bulma is confronted by Zamasu, and we see how she leans up on Zamasu and she's trying to talk to him in a way, and it was very weird to see that because we already understand that, you know, Bulma is who she is and she hates Zamasu and Goku Black, but she flirts with Zamasu to buy time because of course, you know, Trunks he needs to learn the Mafuba, and obviously enough, you know, Bulma is trying to flirt with Zamasu. I'm not entirely sure how Vegeta would take that, but we see how Zamasu really did not care about that, and obviously enough, he was going to kill her right there on the spot, and Bulma was very terrified because Trunks sees that, you know, Zamasu had grabbed Bulma, very similar to how Goku Black had grabbed future Bulma and killed her off in the future. So this was a very, very scary moment for Trunks. We see how Zamasu pretty much had her, and ultimately enough, we see how he threw her down to the ground, and he didn't kill her per se, but we saw how right then and there he had her by the throat and he threw her down on the ground, and we see how she's unconscious while Goku and Vegeta are ultimately enough trying to get to them, but it's incredibly impossible when you're fighting like 20 Goku Blacks at the exact same time. So the flirting thing was kind of cool until we see, you know, Trunks pretty much has like this PTSD flashback of Goku Black killing his mom, and that's when he unleashes the superpower that we saw before, you know, and in which case he stands over Zamasu, and Zamasu is looking at Trunks and he tells him that it's useless to fight him, but we see Mai with the Mafuba jar in the background, so we see how Mai is just ready to take orders from Trunks, and Trunks feeling as if like some way in shape or form he knows the Mafuba technique, so we see him trying to attempt it, in which case Gowasu is making light of this, saying that Trunks pretty much whatever technique he's cooking up is essentially useless. But was it useless? Absolutely not. That's when we see future Trunks use the Mafuba, and we see how Mai is playing a very critical role in about to open the Mafuba jar, and we see how Zamasu is just about to go in the Mafuba jar, and of course we see how Trunks says, look Zamasu, this is the power of us mortals, you know, you underestimated our tenacity and our gift of life, and now you will be sealed away forever despite you being immortal. Your place in time is now going to be in a void all by yourself. So we see how Trunks actually uses the Mafuba with the help of Mai, and guess what happens, guys? He puts Zamasu away, or at least that's what we think, of course. But we see how Trunks pretty much seals Zamasu away, and we see how Zamasu says it won't end like this as he's trying to, you know, get put inside the jar. Bulma begins to stand up, and Bulma's pretty happy on the fact that she pretty much pretended that she was helpless and in distress and whatnot. So Trunks, Mai, and Bulma successfully succeeded in kind of sealing Zamasu away for that duration of time, of course, and we notice how Goku Black notices this, but even prior to that, Bulma tells Mai to quickly put the magic seal on the jar, that way Zamasu does not get, you know, released from the jar, and it's pretty crucial at this point because Piccolo even told everyone, so as long as nobody breaks the seal, we should be in the clear. So we see how all three of them are pressing down on the Mafuba, but of course the seal was broken and Zamasu had managed to escape. So it worked. It worked for the time being, but the only thing that was missing was the fact that they did not put the seal on correctly, and we noticed how, you know, Zamasu had escaped, and Goku Black, again, as I said, he noticed this, and as Goku and Vegeta are fighting off these endless copies, Goku Black notices that there's something wrong with Zamasu. The situation over there feels a little grim, and we also see how, you know, the seal won't hold without this one little piece of paper that was left at Master Roshi's house, which again is very, very bad at this point. But we see how Goku Black notices and realizes that there's something funny going on with Zamasu's key, and he teleports over there, and as he begins to talk to him, we notices that we all notice that the rift is gone, so the giant rift in the sky was just gone. So right then and there, we notice how Zamasu is talking to Black, and Zamasu begins to inform Black as to what had just happened, and Goku Black begins to look at everyone. Obviously enough, he's just at a point where he wants total destruction of everybody, but they can't go about this the way they want to, because after Zamasu having to learn about the Mafuba jar and possibly being sealed away, he says mortals aren't just bugs after all. We can't afford to let our guard down at all. We're gonna have to resort to doing the one thing we talked about. So at that point, towards the very end of the episode, guys, we see how Zamasu takes off his earring from his left ear, and we see how he pretty much dangles it above the Supreme Kai and Gowasu. And Goku and Vegeta notice right away, because obviously enough they had fused at one point. Zamasu clips it on his right ear, and that's when we witness the ultimate power, the ultimate birth of the merged fusion known as Zamasu Black, or whatever you want to call it. Either way, we saw them come together, and then they formed the ultimate creation, and that was a point in time in which case I'll talk more of that in the live stream later, guys, and in the breakdown review. But let me know your overall thoughts, guys, down below. What did you guys think about this? And of course, what are your overall thoughts on the episode preview, because I'll talk more of that in my breakdown. But of course, we witnessed the ultimate fusion happen, and now everyone's in trouble. But let me know what you guys think down below, guys. Thank you all for watching. As always, if you guys are fans, don't forget to subscribe for more awesome Dragon Ball daily content. If you guys love Dragon Ball, if you guys cannot wait for episode 65, punch that like button square in the face. Let me know your thoughts down below. Tune in for more, and I'll be seeing you all in the next update. Take it easy, guys. Peace.